Hello, fellow patrons. I felt like I owed you guys a video, and so we're going to do something fun today. We're going to do kitchen knives, cutlery that I have bought off of AliExpress. I'm going to kind of run through my favorites. Also, hello to the latecomers. If you don't want to be a latecomer and you want to get these a few days early, a week or so early, you can go kick me some money. The link is down below. Anyways, so last year I was kind of forced to reckon with the fact that our kitchen knives collection just was not doing the job anymore. There may have been a modest accident involved in this. We were trying to get by on a crappy, soft steeled chef's knife with no logo on it anymore that I inherited from my dad, and a crappy Victorinox, like a plastic paring knife, and that was kind of it. And some dull as hell steak knives that were hanging on by a thread. So I kind of had to admit that we needed something that was going to be better and safer, and then I needed to spend some money. So I went up to the north side here in Chicago to visit a proper knife shop. I've been to a couple now, but the first one they were kind enough to let me handle some things, and I was intrigued. I was completely priced out of everything they had, or put it this way, it would have the basic stuff would have cut too much into the booze budget, so I had to leave empty-handed. But I went away and I did my research. And I bought some stuff, and I bought the wrong stuff, and then I went back, and I did more research, and I started having some successes. And one of the places I had successes was buying knives off of AliExpress, which, of course, is a one of the big famous Chinese marketplace sites alongside Temu. I wanted to run through these 8 which I like and which I can recommend, and just kind of generally talk to you about the world of buying knives off of AliExpress. So, a couple of things. First, things to know about, I guess, AliExpress in general and AliExpress knife buying. Number 1, AliExpress is a marketplace site, which is to say, it's not just one business. It's basically a kind of broker that's connecting you with individual sellers, individual stores. And the individual stores might be very good or very bad. Basically, if you've used the Amazon app anytime in the last few years, you'll basically know what you're dealing with here. And also, just like the Amazon app, you're going to have to fight the damn search engine and the filters every step of the way. So if you have to, you'll know what you're getting into. It's going to be China. Everything's going to be, and all the names are going to be funny, and you can get some giggles, but it's pretty much the same thing. Number 2 to know. No, you're probably not going to be cheated. No one's going to steal your credit card information. You're probably paying through PayPal or Google Card. It's fine. It's as safe as anything else you're going to use on those things. The big thing you need to do is to check on basically how reliable the store you're dealing with is. So you need to check out the storefront page. That deals with a lot of problems right out of the way. You're looking for the button that kind of looks like a cake or a hat that will take you to the storefront of whoever the hell you're buying from. And basically just seeing that they've been around for a while, that they've got some reviews, they've got some followers, that will help you avoid most problems. If you check the storefront and you see that whoever you're interested in buying from has been there for 2 days, maybe move on. Maybe check somewhere else. As always, also you have to read the fine print so you know what you're actually getting. If you're not sure, if there's contradictory information, in a lot of cases there is, send messages to the seller. Just like Amazon. And yes, you will get back some garbled English. It's fine. I've been able to struggle through just fine. Number 3, with AliExpress, do wait for the sales. It's worth it. And if there's not one happening at any one given time, you can wait a couple of days and they will be doing some kind of new gimmicky sale. Do also collect the coupon codes as well. It's annoying. They're just getting you to hang around the site longer, but you do save a couple of bucks. Number 4 to know about AliExpress. Delivery is probably going to take somewhere between 2 weeks to a month, at least if you're in the continental U.S. So do plan on that. It's not the worst thing, though. Part of the fun is just forgetting that you ordered anything and just kind of forgetting that it's coming, and then you randomly have a guy in a Nissan Sentra just chuck a package at your door. And it's like a random Christmas on a weekday. Returns it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. You can do them and it works, but it's a pain in the ass. Also, just like Amazon, they have narrowed the window. AliExpress has narrowed the window from like a couple of months to a couple of weeks now, so do be wary of that. And generally, if you're doing returns, for some reason, less information you give them, the better it works out. Although the things considered, just click, you don't need it anymore. That seems to have the most success. All right, the knives. Things to know about AliExpress knives. In particular. First of all, there is not a lot of carbon steel out there. And that's most of what you're going to see in AliExpress kitchen knives is stainless steel. That's going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people. How to explain this in the quickest possible way? Okay, so stainless steel is good for people like me, who I'm a dad. Like, I often have to leave a dirty knife out to go deal with a crisis that my children are having. And it is very nice to be able to do that and not have it, rusting and corroding while it is sitting on the countertop. So that's good. However, a lot of nerds really, really prefer carbon steel. And there's reasons for that. I do want to get out of the way that it's not because carbon steel necessarily gets sharper. It's or that they retain an edge better. Some of the cases that is true, but you're now getting stainless steels that are like powder steels and stuff that hold an edge and get just as sharp as traditional carbon steels. But the difference I have found in my experience is the work you need to do to get there. Sharpening carbon steel is delightful. You get yourself some whetstones or like the little diamond stone things. You can nothing makes a knife nerd happier than running off to his man cave with some whetstones that have been soaking for a few hours and a slightly less than optimally sharp knife to go work on that thing for 20 minutes. He'll come out with a big old smile, be cutting up newspaper. Sharpening stainless steel, in my experience, is not fun. It is deeply annoying. You will be cussing and swearing and wondering what you will be doing wrong. And it's fine. You will struggle through because realistically, for most people, it just needs to be sharp enough. So get yourself some basic stones, practice on the crappiest knife you own. You'll get good enough. Oh, one exception, I did just recently buy this. This is a carbon steel knife from AliExpress. I have not really played around with this thing much, but I might report in if anyone cares. It's a bunka or something. I don't even know what kind of steel that is, really. It's T12A, apparently. Oh, so yeah, back to it. I like stainless steel. It works for me if you don't like stainless steel and you want something artisanal and made from super blue or something. You're going to have to go somewhere else, probably. Point number 2 about AliExpress kitchen knives. The categories that are represented and are not are kind of weird. And a lot of stuff is just kind of mislabeled. Like, for some reason, everything is a kiritsuke on AliExpress. Like a proper kiritsuke is a single bevel, like single-sided, long knife meant for detail work, and basically any like a chef's knife with a little bit of a a little bit of a reverse tanto tip, that gets to be a Kiritsuke on AliExpress. A bunkas get to be Kiritsukes. We'll talk about that some more. I don't know why. Apparently the Chinese have decided that every single American wants to own the lead sushi chef's knife. And they might be right, but no, they're not Kiritsuke. So, also, I have not really found any proper chunky single bevel Hanasukis that look like they're worth buying on AliExpress. Which is a little weird. There's not a lot of single bevel anything, if that's your thing. Although there's one exception here. So yeah, a lot of the knives are just going to be mislabeled as something else, and you're just going to have to get over it. Again, if you've spent any time on Amazon dealing with the search engine, just trying to find stuff, you have some experience with this already. Number 3. On the whole, I've found that Chinese knives tend to be a bit heavier than their Japanese, or even like their kind of European, the big name European counterparts. Not necessarily a bad thing, just the thing to know. If you really want something that feels like a precision feathery instrument in your hands, you may need to spend more money somewhere else. And by the way, I should say that not my entire collection of knives, my newish collection, is AliExpress stuff. By no means. I've got a whole bunch of other things in there. That's just what I'm doing for this video. So they tend to be heavier. The heat treatment is fine. It's acceptable on the ones I've tried out. They seem to be they can get sharp enough, which is good enough for your purposes. And the fourth point I want to make about AliExpress knives. If you want specific names of things to look for, I have a couple of storefronts that I do like, and they're kind of represented here. My favorite storefront for knives is the YX Kitchen Knife Factory Store, which is not the cheapest store there, and you do have to pay them shipping, which is unusual for AliExpress. Usually the shipping is free, not these guys. You'll usually have to pay like $8-9 for a knife. But what's cool about them is they seem to be an actual store instead of just like a factory storefront. So you can pick through lots of different individual products from smaller producers. And it's just kind of a terrific spot for finding little hidden gems, like this little nerdy things. By contrast, if you were looking for pretty basic home chef stuff, just like a Santoku or a chef's knife or whatever, there's a couple of storefronts I really like. I like Amber. I like Grandsharp. They're in this mix. Obviously do look through for the details and the steel types and stuff. Turhu also seems to be doing the same kind of thing. It's a factory storefront. And yeah, they're just like big knife factories selling direct to consumers, so far as I can tell. You'll hear Shinsuo and Hessen get talked about. They'll get the most press out there. I've tried some of their stuff. I've ordered some of their stuff, and I found it a little bit overpriced compared to what you could get from some of the others. But don't necessarily take my word for it. They got a good reputation online. So yeah, here is my list. I've got 8 things. I do not have a Hanasuki, obviously, because I can't find one. I don't have a utility knife or a paring knife. It's just although I guess you could use this thing as a paring knife. It's just a list of things that I think are worth looking at if they suit your interests and your kitchen prep style. I've sorted this into 3 categories. I got 4 knives that I think are just kind of terrific. I might have a note or 2, but very few actual complaints. I've got 3 knives that I think are pretty good, which have more substantive complaints, and then I've got a little bit of a wild card, a little bit of a weirdo, which is not really good, but it's interesting. All right, so let's work through these, and I will tell you about each knife. How far am I into this? Okay, we're 15 minutes in, and I haven't talked about the first knife. All right, so the first knife on my terrific list that you should go out and buy is a steak knife. Here it is. This is a Damascus Damascus steel steak knife with a VG10 core, which is not real VG10 because real VG10 is only made by one factory in Japan, and they do no longer export. So what you're actually getting here is Chinese-made VG10, which is 10CR15 MOV. What nice thing about Chinese steel names? They basically tell you the composition in the name. That is just the name, which kind of makes things easier. So why do you need this thing? Because every single person watching this, I mean, not every, like at least half of you, well over half of you, have got crappy, the crappy serrated steak knife set that you've been meaning to replace for like a couple of years now, because they're duller than hell, and you just haven't gotten around to it. You can find this thing in a million stores for $10 all day long. Wait for a sale, you can probably get one of these for like 6 or 7. And it's terrific. If you have never used it, it is not serrated, you will notice. It is just a conventional blade. And if you've never cut through a steak or something with just a normal conventional blade that is properly sharp, this is like it is a wonderful experience. 77 grams, good enough. 115 millimeters long. Like, it's just a basic good steak knife that you can sharpen, unlike the serrated ones. So that's a plus. Cheap, buy a bunch, throw them into the drawer, break them out whenever you need steak. Well worth a look. VG10, older steel. It's not as corrosion resistant as some other stainless steels, but it does hold an edge better. By the way, the Damascus on this, I don't care. You'll just find a ton of Damascus steel on AliExpress and in Chinese knife stores, because it's gotten apparently very, very easy for them to do Damascus now. And usually it's real Damascus. It's not just razor etched. It's just like done on a mass scale, so you're not getting the artisanal touch. All right, the second knife. Now we're getting serious. This thing. I don't know if I can show you according to Google Translate, this is a Jinsenzuo, and it is I don't know what you would call this. This is the Chinese name for this is a kaidao. I'm not going to do the tones. I can't do the tones. I'm sorry. Vegetable knife, but it's a vegetable knife in the same way that a gyuto is a meat knife. This is basically an all-purpose chef's knife. So call it a chef's rectangle if you like. I know it looks like a cleaver, but I mean, take a look at the spine on this thing. I mean, well, I've got an actual cleaver, so for comparison. Like, this is a actual meat cleaver. Look at the spine on that. This is the chef's rectangle. This thing is a precision instrument. It is not for cutting through bones or, heavy stuff. This is for chopping the hell out of vegetables. It took me a while, and this particular one is, I'll give you the stats on it. So the steel is apparently, they're claiming, a SG2 powder steel core. SG2 is kind of the big brother of VG10. It's a much newer steel using powder metallurgy. Don't worry about what that means. But basically, this retains an edge very, very, very well. I haven't sharpened it yet. I'm sure it's going to be a nightmare. But right now, this is the best knife I've ever used. 210 millimeters long, 317 grams. I do have other chef's rectangles that are lighter than this or heavier than this. But this is an all-purpose kitchen knife. You can do 95% of anything you need to do in a kitchen with one of these things. The difference between this and a conventional chef's knife is, what's a good? Okay, I do have this. This is made for rocking, right? I can't really do it at this angle, but it's made for that kind of cutting, which I don't normally do. I did it for a while. I was terrible at it. I don't find it natural. This thing is push cutting. You do that. Or chopping. But even the chopping is different because you don't chop it you don't use a lot of elbow, you use wrist for chopping with this thing. It's a controlled lift and drop. Very different style. It took some getting used to, but like 20 minutes into using this thing, it felt like I'd come home because like my natural tendency as a prep person is I like push cuts and I like chopping, and I don't really do a lot of the sort of the rock cutting, you know, the sort of paper cutter kind of motion. So this is phenomenal for me. The first time I cut through an onion with this, the light bulb went off because it's the safest style of knife ever. I'm just like trying to sell you on this style of knife at this point. It's the safest style of knife I've ever used. It looks terrifying. Like it looks like you touch this thing and you will lose a hand. The thing is, you don't have to like with any other knife. We'll just use this thing for example. You're usually using your fingertips to kind of push things into it. Not this. Here, you do a kind of kitty cat technique. You put your knuckles up against the blade, and you kind of feed stuff in like this, chopping away. It is almost impossible to cut yourself. I have cut myself with regular chef's knives, with little utility knives, paring knives. Never ever cut myself with this. Again, it felt like I was coming home. So yeah, terrific knife. I reach for this thing all the damn time if it's any kind of serious prep work. But this and my other chef's rectangles have been losing a little bit of time to the next thing that's coming up. But yeah, highly recommended. I don't know what to say about it. I love this thing. Maybe the handle. I don't know if I like the handle that much because it gets. The kind of work I do with this knife, I never have wet hands or slimy hands. I'm usually if I'm cutting up a chicken, I will use another knife. But I could imagine that being a problem with this. By the way, the balance point on this thing is very, very forward. I like it a little bit forward. I use a regular pinch grip, but if you wanted to go through 2 fingers on this, you absolutely can. Phenomenal knife. I love this thing. I love all my rectangles, but I love this one in particular. What the rectangles have been losing a little bit of time of cutting time to is this thing, which is a more recent addition to the collection. This is a Grandsharp, and it's a Nakiri, which is basically Japan taking the chef's rectangle and trimming it down. This Grandsharp here has a Damascus, steel thing going on. Of course, the handle is very loud. It is super duper red and black. This has created a problem in some respect. I will talk about that in a minute. But yeah, this is also a powder steel core, according to them. Now, I don't know if I'm guessing you're getting some international connections, and they are actually sourcing real SG2 with this and real S35VN with this thing. But it could just be a Chinese factory that's producing an equivalent. I don't know, but it's very sharp and it works fine. 180 millimeters long, 207 grams, kind of right spot in the middle of where a Nakiri should be weight-wise. Pretty darn good balance. And this just, anytime I am doing just a little bit of veggie chopping, this thing comes out. I just need to go through like a couple pieces of broccoli. Like this, I just, whip this out, chop, wash it off, dry it off, put it away. I'm done. This is a little bit more serious. The rectangle does the same damn thing. It's just more serious. And sometimes I don't need serious. I just like this thing. Main problems with this, aside from the fact, the main problem is my 4-year-old loves this thing. So I have to make sure I have this right back in the block before she sees it, because she thinks the Damascus is very pretty and the handle is very pretty. So she will run out and grab it. But yeah, Grandsharp, one of the better kind of factory storefronts. for AliExpress knives, at least if you're looking for kind of basic stuff. Nakiri, fantastic knife. And I don't know what to say about it. I will move on. Yeah. Oh, this is one you can't get anymore, except you can because there's a million of them. This is a chopper or a cleaver. I think I paid $20 for this. I don't know what kind of steel this is. I'm guessing it's just pig iron or something. It's 5CR or whatever, but it's stainless. It looks kind of cool. It's got the little darker portion up there. It's not a particularly refined knife, but it doesn't, for its job, it doesn't need to be. This is 170 millimeters. 195 millimeters long, 635 grams. This is not heavy enough to cut through like beef bones or something. Just get a hacksaw, for God's sake. But chicken bones, pork bones, have at it. I'm usually using this to like separate out ribs and stuff, and it's perfect for that kind of job. Yeah, what else to say about this? It is wonderful pizza. This is the house pizza cutter. Because we have a roller thing, but it doesn't work very well, and I don't like it. This, I can just grab it and go chunk, 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 and I've cut the pizza up, and it's brilliant. Complaints, well, you can't buy it anymore, but there's a million just like this. Just go find a cleaver that's somewhere between 500 grams and a kilogram. It'll probably do basically the same thing. The steel does not sit very well with the handle. It's a little bit uncomfortable to grip, but for how often I am using it, which is, cutting pizza and separating out ribs most of the time, I don't mind. It's not particularly uncomfortable. And, if you really care that much, you can file it down. So it's not a problem. Those are the ones that I think are just terrific. I have very few complaints or notes on them. Now we move on to pretty good, which are ones I still like, but I would change a few things. I have a few issues. And yeah, let's start out with this. This is, according to Google Translate, which now just scans classical Chinese, simplified Chinese characters in. This is a shidaze, and on the YX store, they have this listed as a kiritsuke. It is not. This thing is 170 millimeters long. It is 166 grams, and it is double beveled. This is not a kiritsuke. I do not want a kiritsuke. That is too much smoke for me. I will never have the knife skills necessary to use a proper head sushi chef's knife. That's just not going to happen. I don't need that. What I do need is a good bunka, which is what this is. I bought this basically mainly for my wife. My wife has been using a Victorinox for years, and I spent the first couple of months of buying knives just trying to find something that would break her of the Victorinox. I grabbed a Tojiro petty knife in there. I use that a lot. She doesn't touch it hardly ever. What finally broke her was this thing. And if you don't know what a bunka is, it's basically a sentoku with a pointy tip. And there's pluses and minuses to that. This is a little bit better for things like, detail work or like coring fruit or something like that. But if you are doing a lot of rock chopping, you can, bury your tip into the cutting board, and that's bad. So, these also tend to be a little bit flatter in profile, which I'm fine with, and so is my wife because she uses this thing all the time. Stats, I already gave the length and weight. This is they actually put it on here. This is a 90 CR18 MOV core, or 9 CR18, really, which is a pretty common Chinese stainless steel. I would say it's equivalent to US 440B. You don't see it much anymore, but somewhere around there. Complaints. Really, I only have one complaint with this, which is the balance point is here. It's right at the end of the handle, and I don't like this because my natural the way I naturally want to grip a knife is right here. I want to grab right here and have it be balanced. But if I do that with this, it's actually a little bit handle heavy. So every single time I pick this knife out, if I don't want to use the Nakiri or something, every time I grab this thing, I will grab it like this, and I'll be like, oh, that doesn't feel right, and I'll have to correct myself, and that's really annoying. So I just wish they could pull the handle back a little bit so I could grip it a little bit further back on the metal. That's my only note, really. I'm not super duper fond of the handle. It could be filed down a little bit more. It's fine. It does the job. All of these do the job. I think this is a good choice of steel, though. It's not so great at edge retention, but it doesn't need to be. Like, this is a beater. This is a wonderful beater knife. All right, moving on. This thing. This is the House Chef's knife. At the moment, this is an amber, and it is a VG10 or 10 CR15 MOV with that they did a hammered finish on. There's also some Damascus there, and it was super duper cheap. This is a 240. This is 240 millimeters long. It is 245 grams, which we'll talk about that in a second. But basically, I'm using this. Could you use this as a prep knife? Yeah, I mean, they're selling this as a chef's knife. It's a gyuto. I mean, the profile is way too flat to be a proper kind of Western style chef's knife. But yeah, as you could totally use this as a gyuto. I'm using this as a slicing knife and pretty much just for slicing. So if I'm, searing a picanha or something, and I'm going to cut it into steaks, I break out this thing, and I can just make these nice long gliding slices in it. Could I get a proper, 270 slicer or something? Yeah, I don't need it for my purposes. I do not need it, and this is fine. Again, it was cheap. And does the job. Complaints, it is chunky. It is a heavy one. 245 grams for a knife this size. It's just a little bit like, you're going to get under 200 for most Japanese gyutos of this length. So this is a little bit heavy, and it will be a little bit tiring if you're doing a lot of prep work with it. But for slicing, for just whipping out as to I don't know. I'm trying to think of another situation where I use this. It's mainly cutting up steaks and larger meaty things. For that, it's fine. You just use it, you clean it off, you put it away. Other main complaint about this is on the Amber website, they were advertising this as being 10 inches long, which is 255 millimeters, not 240. So somewhere there is a missing 15 millimeters. And I'm a little bit mad about that. Am I super duper mad? Not really. It's a fun, AliExpress kitchen knife. By the way, if you want to know why it's so darn heavy, I don't know if you can see the spine. There is absolutely no distal taper to this bad boy. None whatsoever. So they had to make the handle heavier to balance it out. It is what it is. It is a cheap gyuto. That's what it is. Moving on to my... Oh, yeah. You got this one. The last of my really, really good knives. This is just one I cheaped out on. This is a Deba. Which... Debas are interesting. What do I want to say? Well, the first thing to say about Deba is if you or anyone else is under the impression that traditional Japanese knives are delicate, light, surgical, nimble pieces of that they are not heavy, chunky things like we have in the West, take a look at the spine on this thing. This is made for a beating, all right? I mean, this is a bad boy. Yeah, so this is a $30 stainless steel Deba. And I think Debas are a hugely underrated knife style. And I will tell you why. So the name Deba Bocho literally translates to fish prep knife, something like that. And so people will look at these things and say, okay, well, when I'm going to buy this because I want to prep some fish. I want to get some raw fish, and I want to take the head off and take the skin off and get the organs out. I want to do all that myself. That sounds like fun. So they buy this, and then they find they never actually do any fish prep. Because when they go to Whole Foods or whatever to buy their whole fish, the guy behind the counter says, hey, can I prep this for you? And you say, yes, because you don't want to deal with that stuff. So you don't do any fish prep. So your Deba just kind of sits on the side, and you never use it. And so then you go online and you say, I never use my Deba, you don't really need one. And I think that is a misunderstanding of what these knives are. If you were in 19th century Japan, a regular household would have had two knives. You would have had a Nakiri, and you would have had a Deba. And you don't think of this as a fish prep knife, even though literally that's what it says. Think of this as the heavy knife, if you needed two. This is the heavy one. You have the Nakiri for chopping up veggies. This is for, well, I mean, fish, but also, maybe some wild birds or something. You don't really get a whole lot of meat consumption, beef consumption in Japan up until the 20th century. But this is the heavy knife of your set. So if you think about it that way, then it starts to make sense. Let me tell you when I started to appreciate this, because I just bought it because it's a cheap single bevel knife, and I wanted to play around with it. I was separating out some ribs with my cleaver here, which I've already talked about, and I was starting to get frustrated because there was some little things that I was having trouble getting by with this. So I had a little bit of a light bulb moment, and I put the cleaver down, and I went and got this instead, and it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. You couldn't do like even the kinds of bones you could do with this cleaver, with this thing. It'll never work. But for just doing some heavier meat prep stuff, heavy knife stuff, this was amazing. Like, this is just perfect for that. So yeah, breaking down poultry, breaking down fish, separating out a primal or ribs, other beef, meat pieces, that kind of thing. This is phenomenal. And if you really don't want a big heavy cleaver around because you're not going to be using that often, but you do want some kind of heavy knife you can use as a beater, get a Deba. Like, that is what these things are for. And I use this to break down poultry. When I roast a chicken or something, or a duck, I will use this to break it down and carve it just as often as I would my proper Japanese Honosuke over there. So yeah, Deba's hugely underrated. This is a 7-incher. It is 180 millimeters long. I got this from YX. 278 grams. What is my complaint about this? I cheaped out on it. This is my only real complaint. I did not. You'll see ones with really crappy steel with 7 CRs all over AliExpress. This I stepped up a little bit. I got this one with 8 CR 18 MOV steel, which is roughly equivalent to 440C stainless steel in the US. So not total garbage, but certainly not premium steel by any chance. And it's fine, but it does lose its edge a little bit too easily for my taste. So what I should have done is I should have just spent more money. In retrospect, I should have spent more money and gotten something with a little bit of a harder steel. Not too hard, because this is a beater knife. This is meant to take abuse, but harder than what it is. And that is really my only complaint. I really love this Deba. It's been kind of like the Nakiri. It's been taking up more and more of my cutting time. And that is all. These 7 are the knives I really genuinely like that I bought from AliExpress. Where are we? We are at 40 minutes. But now I get a wild card. I get something which I don't think is good, but I think it's interesting. This. This thing, where do I start with this? So there's a lot that I hate about this knife. There's a lot that I hate about this knife. I hate the handle. It is not comfortable to hold. It's got this thing that juts out. It is not particularly balanced very well. The grip point is kind of like there. I hate the steel. It's a tungsten carbide. It's tungsten molybdenum steel core, which is very, very sharp, but it's also very, very fragile. So I'm constantly terrified that I'm going to drop this thing and it's just going to shatter all over the floor. It is too heavy. This is 290 grams. It's I thought the murdered out nature of this would be cool. It really isn't. So there's a lot about this knife I do not like, but the shape of it is really, really intriguing. This is a Jung Song. Is the brand. I don't think they sell anymore, but you can get stuff like this all over the place on AliExpress. I don't even know what the name of knife profile this is. If you know the name of this knife profile, please tell me down below. It's kind of like a bunka, maybe a sentoku, because the point is not very sharp. But let's call it a bunka that's gotten much taller and much fatter. So call it a fatty bunka. Let's call it a fatty bunka. And what's interesting about this shape is that just from the nature of the belly, this is not made for chopping because you will not chop through anything whatsoever all the way through. It will all just be connected by little strings. It doesn't do very well with push cuts either, although you can do it. Where this excels is rock chopping, rock cutting, the paper cutting style of food prep, which I obviously don't do a lot of. I much prefer push cutting and chopping with the stuff over here mostly. But there is a time when that comes up, and that time is herbs. Whenever I need to chop up some parsley or some mint or fresh dill or something, the Nakiri is not particularly good at that job. I'm going to be totally honest with you. It gets stringy, it gets awkward. This is amazing for herbs. So a lot of the time when I'm using herbs, I will just break this thing out, chop, for a couple of minutes, and then put it away. I'm done with it. So yeah, do I recommend this knife? No, I do not. I think there's just too many things wrong with it. But is this knife, would I buy this knife shape as a specialty herb cutting knife? Or even if I did a lot, if I was much more, how do I put this? If I liked rock chopping much, much more, I would buy a better version of this. I would buy it with proper steel, lighter, and just have fun with it. Because it's great for what it does, even if this is not a great version of this profile. And that is what I got. Again, I will report on this carbon steel thing I just got from YX. But yeah, all these are recommended. They are not expensive. And if they sound intriguing, check them out. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with some booze, some kind of booze, tomorrow or the day after. Thanks for watching, and cheers.